Okay, so Alzheimer's. We hear so much about the memory loss, right? And it's devastating, absolutely.
Hmm.
But there's another aspect that's often overlooked.
Yeah, the agitation.
Exactly. It's like those sudden, bursts of anger, restlessness,
Yeah.
even aggression sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking for everyone involved.
Absolutely. Incredibly tough on the person going through it and incredibly tough on their caregivers, too.
For sure. And there aren't always a lot of good answers when it comes to managing that aspect, are there?
Right, which is why this new research caught our attention.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
So researchers at Johns Hopkins and Tufts universities just presented some pretty compelling findings at the International Psychogeriatric Association conference.
Okay.
And it revolves around a treatment possibility for this agitation using something called Dronabinol.
Dronabinol, isn't that?
It's a synthetic form of THC. Yep. Which some listeners might recognize as.
The active ingredient in cannabis.
Exactly. But, and this is crucial, we're talking in a very specific controlled form that's already FDA approved for other uses.
So this isn't about just using any kind of medical marijuana?
No. Much more nuanced than that.
Got it. So how does this Dronabinol tie into Alzheimer's then?
Well, this research was all about seeing if it could help manage that agitation we were talking about.
Okay. And?
Yeah.
What'd they find?
Well, first we have to remember just how common this agitation is. It's estimated that around 40% of people with Alzheimer's also experience it.
Wow. 40%, that's huge.
It is. It's a significant portion of an already vulnerable population.
So back to the study. What were the results like?
So they used something called the Pittsburgh Agitation Scale, PAS, for short to measure agitation levels.
Okay.
And they found that Dronabinol led to a 30% reduction in those scores compared to the placebo group.
30%. This seems like a pretty significant decrease.
It is. A 30% reduction on the PAS is considered clinically significant. This isn't just, a minor change. It translates to real improvements in a patient's daily life.
Wow. And we're talking about a measurable difference in their behavior and, I'm assuming, the severity of those outbursts?
Potentially, yes.
So how is it working? I mean, what's going on in the brain here?
Good question. While this study focused mainly on the effect, not necessarily the how, we do know that THC interacts with the brain's endocannabinoid system.
Right, and that system. Remind me again what that's all about.
Sure. It plays a big role in regulating all sorts of functions: mood, sleep, even pain perception. It's pretty complex.
Right.
So it's possible that Dronabinol is working by influencing the system somehow, helping to, stabilize mood and reduce those episodes of agitation.
Okay, so it's sort of like evening things out, potentially.
In a way, yes.
Okay, that makes sense. But I'm wondering, why is this such a big deal? I mean, don't we already have medications for agitation in Alzheimer's patients?
We do. Antipsychotics are often used, but they often come with a long list of side effects.
Right, I can imagine.
And some of them can be pretty severe. Delirium and seizures, unfortunately, aren't uncommon with those medications.
No.
And those can be just as distressing, if not more so, for both the patient and their family. The promising thing about this study is that they didn't see those particular side effects with Dronabinol.
Interesting. So potentially more effective and with fewer side effects.
Potentially, yes. It's still early, but that's what makes this research so compelling.
That's huge, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about a treatment that could actually work without those kinds of risks.
Exactly. And, we can't forget the human side of this. Think about the caregivers. They're the ones often dealing with the brunt of these outbursts. Emotionally, physically, it's draining.
Right. It takes a toll.
Absolutely. So to find a treatment that might actually make things a little easier, a little less stressful, that could be life-changing for them.
For sure. And, reading through this study, it really struck me how much emphasis the researchers put on that caregiver aspect.
Yeah, they seemed really aware of that burden.
Yeah. Dr. Brent Forrester, one of the lead investigators, even said something like, and I'm quoting here, "It is the agitation, not the memory loss, that often drives individuals with dementia to the emergency department and long-term care facility."
Wow.
Right? And then he goes on to say, Dronabinol has the potential to both reduce healthcare costs and make an important positive impact on caregivers' mental and physical health.
That's powerful because he's right. It's often that agitation that becomes the tipping point, the thing that forces families to make those really difficult decisions about long-term care.
Absolutely.
So if this could actually help prevent or even just delay that need, I mean, we're not just talking about easing symptoms at that point. We're talking about maybe changing the whole trajectory of how someone experiences dementia.
That's what's so fascinating to me about this research. It's like, It has these huge potential implications, right? For patients, for families, even for the healthcare system as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of the healthcare system, did you see the part about the potential cost savings?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Alzheimer's care is incredibly expensive.
It's astronomically expensive, hundreds of billions of dollars annually just in the U.S.
It's mind-boggling.
So even if this treatment helps a small percentage of patients avoid hospitalization or delay long-term care, think about what that could mean.
It could be huge, financially speaking, both for families and for the system overall.
Right. It's like this ripple effect going outwards.
Okay, so to recap, we've got this potentially game-changing treatment, right? It seems to be effective, maybe even more so than what we're currently using. Potentially fewer side effects, could have a positive economic impact.
Sounds pretty good so far.
It does. But, and I think this is crucial, we need to be realistic, right? This study, while promising, was pretty small.
Very true. Only 75 patients.
Yeah, so we need more research, like a lot more.
We absolutely need larger, longer-term studies to really confirm these findings. We need to see if the benefits hold up over time and with more diverse groups of patients.
Exactly. And until then, it's crucial that we emphasize that we're talking very specifically about Dronabinol here.
Right. This very particular synthetic form of THC.
Right. This is not an endorsement of using just any type of medical marijuana for agitation and Alzheimer's.
Exactly. It's about making informed decisions based on solid evidence and talking to your doctor. This research is a great first step, but it's one piece of a much larger puzzle.
So where does this all leave us? We've spent this deep dive exploring these early findings on Dronabinol as a potential treatment for agitation in Alzheimer's patients.
And I think one of the most interesting takeaways for me is how this might change how we view dementia care overall.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
Especially the stigma surrounding THC, right? It makes you wonder if this could be the start of something bigger.
Like opening up different avenues for exploration.
Exactly. We've been, I don't know, maybe a little cautious about certain substances in the past. But what if, and obviously this needs more research, but what if this could really improve quality of life for these patients?
Right. If larger studies back up these findings, it could have major implications. Like, we might need to rethink some of our approaches to treating these really challenging symptoms of dementia.
I think so, yeah. Because we haven't always had the best tools, for managing these things.
For sure.
So this study, even though it's small, it really raises this question. Could this be the start of a new conversation about how we can meet those needs, even if it means reconsidering things that have, traditionally carried a stigma?
I like that. It's about being open to new possibilities, as long as the science is there.
Exactly.
So for anyone listening out there who's dealing with Alzheimer's, either personally or professionally, I think this research offers some hope. It shows that there are people out there looking for new solutions.
And that those solutions might come from unexpected places.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, it reminds us to stay a little bit open-minded, even if it means challenging what we thought we knew.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Keep those minds open, folks.
That's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.